The 1980s were a complicated decade for American performance cars. Federal regulations, rising insurance premiums, and growing concerns about fuel economy forced manufacturers to rethink what muscle really meant. For General Motors, this era was about walking a tightrope, balancing tradition with innovation while trying to keep performance enthusiasts satisfied in an increasingly restrictive environment. The big block thunder of the late 1960s was long gone, replaced by smaller displacement V8s, turbocharged experiments, and technological leaps that didn't always resonate with the public. Yet, hidden within that landscape are machines often overshadowed by their more famous siblings. They may not have earned the household recognition of the Camaro IROC-Z or the Corvette, but they carried a unique charm and represented some of the boldest moves GM made during a transitional time. Today, we're going to shine a light on 15 lesser-known GM muscle cars of the 1980s, vehicles that deserve recognition for their rarity, character, or sheer audacity. Number 15. Buick Regal GNX, 1987. The Buick Regal GNX was a car that quietly rewrote the rulebook. Limited to only 547 units, this machine was born from a collaboration with McLaren Performance Technologies, a name usually associated with Formula One, not American muscle. At its core sat a turbocharged 3.8-liter V6 officially rated at 276 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque. Of course, that was Buick being modest, since real-world tests proved it delivered much more punch. The GNX shocked the automotive world by beating Ferrari's 328 and Porsche's 930 Turbo in the quarter mile, something few expected from what looked like a standard Regal with dark paint and discreet styling. That subtle appearance was part of the thrill. It was fast enough to frighten the competition, yet quiet enough to blend into traffic. Collectors today revere the GNX as the ultimate example of a sleeper car. Its rarity, performance, and understated design have secured its place as one of the most legendary Buicks ever built. A true 1980s icon that never needed loud badges to prove its strength. Number 14. Number Pontiac Trans Am Turbo 301, 1980–81. The turn of the 1980s brought a different approach to performance at Pontiac, and the Trans Am Turbo 301 was the centerpiece of that experiment. Gone were the massive displacement engines of the past. In their place came a 4.9-liter turbocharged V8. On paper, its 210 horsepower output looked respectable, especially during an era dominated by tightening emission standards and rising fuel economy regulations. In practice, though, the turbo's notorious lag kept drivers waiting for that promised surge of power. Marketing hailed it as futuristic performance, complete with distinctive hood graphics and a functional turbo boost gauge inside the cabin. While straight-line speed was decent, the chassis and braking system weren't exactly up to the same task, leaving critics with mixed opinions. Still, the Turbo 301 has become a fascinating collectible today, remembered not for perfection, but for boldness. It represented Pontiac's willingness to take risks with technology when many manufacturers were playing it safe. The car's rarity and unique place in Trans Am history make it an intriguing piece of turbocharged nostalgia. Number 13. 1980 Oldsmobile 442 W30, By 1980, the muscle car era had lost much of its firepower, but the Oldsmobile 442 W30 still carried an aura of prestige. This model was more about exclusivity than raw horsepower, with fewer than 900 examples ever leaving the factory. To make things even rarer, California's strict emissions laws meant the W30 couldn't even be sold there, effectively making it a forbidden fruit for West Coast enthusiasts. Power figures weren't headline-grabbing, yet the W30 package added genuine substance. Buyers got upgraded suspension for sharper handling, distinct appearance cues, and a sense of tradition that connected it to the 442's glory days. Collectors today prize the 1980 W30 not for its outright speed, but for its significance as the final chapter of Oldsmobile's true performance lineup. It stands as a reminder of a time when manufacturers were caught between government regulations and customer expectations, forcing them to balance nostalgia with reality. The scarcity, combined with its place in Oldsmobile history, ensures that the W30 remains a collectible gem from a transitional era. Number 12. 1983 to 84. Hurst Olds, 15th Anniversary Edition. Oldsmobile and Hurst had a long history of building special cars together, and the 15th Anniversary Edition was a stylish salute to that partnership. Produced in 1983 and 1984, this coupe wore a striking black and silver two-tone paint scheme accented by bold red pinstriping. Under the hood sat a 307 cubic inch V8, hardly earth-shattering in terms of horsepower, but the magic of this car wasn't just about the engine. The interior showcased the famous lightning rod shifter, a triple-stick setup that gave drivers more control over gear selection and added plenty of conversation value. Production numbers were kept relatively low, with just over 3,000 in 1983 and slightly more in 1984, making them highly desirable among collectors today. The Hurst Olds struck a balance between style, exclusivity, and performance flair at a time when the muscle car scene was running on fumes. It offered buyers a taste of heritage, wrapped in a sharp, memorable package that still turns heads whenever one appears at a classic car show. Number 11. Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS Aero Coupe, 1986 to 87. The Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS Aero Coupe was born out of racing necessity rather than showroom demand. NASCAR required production-based models for competition, so Chevrolet built this special variant with a uniquely sloped rear window designed to reduce aerodynamic drag on high-speed ovals. The 1986 model year saw just over 200 produced, while 1987 brought a run of about 6,052 units, still keeping it on the rare side. Power came from a 305 cubic inch V8, rated at 180 horsepower. Modest for performance numbers, but sufficient for the role it played. The Aero Coupe wasn't about brute force, it was about aerodynamics, homologation, and securing victories on the track. Today, collectors appreciate its limited production run, racing pedigree, and distinctive styling that set it apart from the standard Monte Carlo SS. It remains one of those vehicles where the backstory is just as important as the car itself. For enthusiasts who enjoy the intersection of motorsport and street cars, the Aero Coupe is a standout reminder of how far manufacturers would go to stay competitive in racing. Number 10. Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS, early 80s. The early 80s Monte Carlo SS carved out a reputation as Chevrolet's bridge between everyday driving and performance thrills. Beneath the hood sat the 305 cubic inch HO58, delivering around 180 horsepower. While it didn't set records, it provided just enough punch to keep enthusiasts smiling at a time when horsepower ratings were slipping across the industry. Styling played a big role in its appeal, with aerodynamic tweaks, bold graphics, and a stance that looked ready for action even at idle. Add in rally-inspired suspension tuning and an affordable sticker price, and the Monte Carlo SS quickly earned fans who wanted something sporty without breaking the bank. These models also carried Chevrolet's performance image into NASCAR, making them recognizable both on the street and on the track. Though later overshadowed by the Aero Coupe, the standard SS remains a significant piece of GM's 1980s lineup. Collectors today see these cars as approachable classics, blending nostalgia, style, and attainable ownership. The early Monte Carlo SS may not dominate auctions, but it remains a respected and enjoyable piece of Chevrolet's performance heritage. Number 9. Pontiac Fiero GT and Formula, 1985–88. The Pontiac Fiero had a rocky start, but its later GT and Formula trims redeemed its reputation. Launched as America's first mid-engine production car, the early Fieros looked promising but lacked the performance to back up their radical design. By 1985, Pontiac fixed that with the introduction of a V6 engine, giving the Fiero the muscle it needed. The GT arrived with sleeker styling and more presence, while the Formula brought a lighter package that appealed to driving purists. The real transformation came in 1988, when the Fiero gained a completely revised suspension that finally unlocked the handling potential its layout always promised. Just as it was finding its stride, Pontiac pulled the plug, canceling the project before a second-generation version with a 3.4-liter DOHC V6 could debut. Despite its short run, the Fiero GT and Formula left a lasting impression. Today, they're celebrated as daring, forward-thinking machines that showcased Pontiac's willingness to take risks. What once drew criticism now earns admiration, securing the Fiero's place as one of GM's most ambitious and unique creations of the decade. Number 8. Buick Riata, 1988–91. The Buick Riata wasn't built to dominate drag strips, but it stood out as a bold experiment in design and technology. Introduced as a two-seat luxury coupe, it aimed to bring Buick into new territory. The Riata came with Buick's proven 3800 V6, offering smooth, reliable power that leaned more toward cruising comfort than outright performance. Where it really set itself apart was inside the cabin. The car featured one of the earliest touchscreen control systems called the Graphic Control Center, which allowed drivers to manage climate, radio, and diagnostics with a few taps, years before such tech became common. Its styling emphasized sleek lines and personal luxury appeal, presenting Buick as a forward-thinking brand willing to push boundaries. Sales never matched expectations, partly because the market wasn't sure what to make of it, but that only adds to its charm today. For collectors, the Riata represents a fascinating slice of Buick history, combining old-school V6 reliability with futuristic ambition. It may not have been the loudest car of its time, but it spoke volumes about innovation. Number 7. Chevrolet El Camino SS, Choo-Choo Customs, 1983–87. The El Camino has always walked the line between truck and car, But during the mid-80s, it gained a new persona through Choo Choo Customs. Officially backed by GM, these conversions added flair to the El Camino by giving it a performance-inspired makeover. Production numbers were low, with fewer than 5,000 units built across 5 years, instantly giving them rarity value. The upgrades leaned more toward style than raw power, as most examples stuck with Chevrolet's familiar small-block V8S. What really made the Choo Choo El Camino SS stand out were its cosmetic touches, unique body kits, custom badging, and NASCAR-inspired front ends that gave the car-truck hybrid a distinct identity. It became the kind of vehicle you'd spot instantly at a dealership lot or local cruise night, simply because it looked unlike anything else GM was offering. While performance purists may debate its impact, collectors today appreciate it for its exclusivity and character. The Choo Choo El Camino SS turned practicality into personality, making it one of the most distinctive GM products of the 1980s. Number 6. GMC Caballero, 1980s. The GMC Caballero was the understated sibling of the Chevrolet El Camino, offering the same car-truck versatility but with a GMC badge. Produced in much smaller numbers, the Caballero never enjoyed the spotlight or marketing push that its Chevy counterpart received. This lack of promotion, however, has turned into a strength today, as surviving Caballeros are far rarer and more unique on the collector market. Mechanically, it was nearly identical to the El Camino, with the same lineup of small-block V8 engines and the same platform underpinnings, making it just as practical for hauling light loads or cruising comfortably. Styling was slightly more reserved, which added to its identity as the quiet choice for buyers who wanted the utility without the flash. Options like two-tone paint and upscale trim packages gave owners a chance to personalize their Caballeros. And while they weren't built in big numbers, they delivered solid reliability. Today, the GMC Caballero stands as a hidden gem for enthusiasts seeking something distinct, representing a quirky slice of 1980s GMC history that never tried to steal the spotlight, but ended up becoming collectible precisely because of its rarity. Number 5. Oldsmobile Cutless Supreme SX Carryover Model. The Oldsmobile Cutless Supreme SX is one of those cars that often slips under the radar, overshadowed by the legendary 442. Originally offered in 1970 and 1971, some late-production SX models lingered into the used car market of the early 1980s, gaining cult status among enthusiasts looking for something different. The SX shared much of the spirit of the 442, including performance-oriented powertrains, but carried itself with a subtler image. Buyers who wanted muscle car capability without the high-profile attention often found the SX appealing. What makes it even more intriguing today is its low production numbers, which makes tracking one down a real treasure hunt. Equipped with V8 power, refined styling, and Oldsmobile's reputation for blending comfort with performance, the SX delivered a package that deserved more recognition than it received. For GM fans, the Cutless Supreme SX is one of those hidden gems, a car that never got the marketing hype of its sibling, but quietly built a reputation among those who owned one. Today, collectors see it as an undiscovered classic that holds special value because so few survived. Number 4. Chevrolet Camaro Z28, early 80s. In the early 1980s, the Chevrolet Camaro Z28 became one of the most visible survivors of the muscle car era. Though horsepower numbers were trimmed compared to the glory days of the 1970s, the Z28 still delivered plenty of excitement for drivers who wanted affordable performance. The second-generation Z28, still available at the start of the decade, came with aggressive striping, spoilers, and V8 power that carried the Camaro identity through leaner times. Then came 1982, a landmark year with the debut of the third-generation Camaro. Sleeker, more aerodynamic, and lighter, this new Z28 embraced modern styling while retaining the spirit of the nameplate. Buyers could choose a range of V8 options, and while outright performance wasn't staggering, the handling and looks gave it undeniable appeal. The Z28 was soon joined by the IRO CZ, which often stole the spotlight. But the early third-gen Z28 deserves credit for keeping the Camaro flame alive during a challenging automotive era. Today, these models are increasingly appreciated as stylish, affordable classics that carried Chevrolet's performance legacy into a new generation. Number 3. Oldsmobile 442, mid-80s. By the mid-1980s, Oldsmobile revived the 442 badge to add some excitement to its lineup, offering it on the Cutless Supreme. While no longer the tire-shredding powerhouse of the late 1960s, the 442 still carried performance flavor in a decade that desperately needed some. Under the hood was a 307 cubic inch V8, producing around 180 horsepower. Modest numbers, yes, but paired with a distinctive appearance package, dual exhaust, and handling upgrades, it delivered enough character to satisfy loyalists. The car wore bold striping, unique wheels, and special badging that made sure everyone knew this wasn't just another Cutless. Though not the fire-breathing muscle car of old, it represented Oldsmobile's effort to keep tradition alive. Today, collectors look back at these mid-80s 442s with fondness. They weren't record-setters, but they were accessible, stylish, and a bridge to the brand's high-performance past. With Oldsmobile long gone, owning one of these cars is now a way to preserve a piece of the company's legacy. A reminder that even during restrained times, performance heritage still mattered. Number 2. Cadillac Alante, 1987–93. The Cadillac Alante was a bold project designed to showcase Cadillac's ambition in the luxury sports car segment. Its bodies were crafted in Italy by Pininfarina, shipped to the United States via specially equipped airplanes, and then assembled with Cadillac drivetrains. That exotic production process alone set it apart from anything else GM was building at the time. Early models used Cadillac's 4.1-liter V8, respectable but not exactly thrilling. Later years brought improvements, culminating in the addition of the Northstar 5.8 in 1993, finally giving the Alante performance to match its upscale image. Features like advanced electronics, leather interiors, and a convertible option positioned it as a competitor to European luxury roadsters. The car's high price limited sales, and it never reached the dominance Cadillac hoped for, but it did prove the brand could think globally and innovate. Today, the Alante is remembered as one of Cadillac's most ambitious experiments, blending Italian style with American engineering. Its rarity, unique production story, and late-model performance make it an intriguing collectible, with a story unlike any other GM vehicle of its era. Number 1. Chevrolet Citation X11 V6 models. The Chevrolet Citation is often remembered for its quality issues, but the X11 performance version deserves its own recognition. Introduced as part of Chevrolet's compact front-wheel drive lineup, the X11 added sporty credentials to an otherwise ordinary car. Equipped with a V6 engine and sport-tuned suspension, it offered sharper handling than most American compacts of the time. Features like stiffer springs, rear stabilizer bars, and performance tires gave it surprising cornering ability, while its unique striping and badging set it apart visually. The X11 was Chevrolet's attempt to prove that economy and performance could coexist, even if the execution wasn't perfect. Buyers looking for a sporty daily driver found it appealing, though sales never reached high numbers. Today, the X11 stands as one of GM's more unusual experiments of the 1980s. A car that didn't quite achieve mainstream success, but pushed the boundaries of what a front-wheel drive American compact could be. For enthusiasts, it remains a curiosity worth remembering, blending practicality with a hint of driving excitement in an era when innovation often came with risks. The 1980s were far from the golden era of muscle cars, yet General Motors still found ways to keep performance alive. Whether through limited production specials, turbocharged experiments, or simply styling cues that reminded buyers of a more powerful past, these 15 cars proved that innovation and resilience defined the decade. They might not all have the same legendary status as the GTO, Chevelle SS, or Corvette, but each tells a story about GM's willingness to adapt and experiment in uncertain times. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten performance cars, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more automotive history, and drop a comment below sharing which of these hidden gems surprised you the most. Your support helps us continue exploring the untold stories of the car world.